The Pittsburgh Steelers bring in a former Washington Commanders linebacker for a visit. The Pittsburgh Steelers also had their quarterback Justin Fields inside of the building yesterday. And also we're going to touch on that very touchy subject of Cam Sutton. Welcome back to Mike Drop Sports, everybody. I'm Jason. Let's dive into a Wednesday show here on the channel. I appreciate you all for stopping through. And don't forget our live show tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Steel City Live, where I'll be joined by Sean. Let's dive into the news of the day here on a Wednesday as we dive through Pittsburgh Steelers news. I wanted to bring up this inside linebacker that was brought in for a visit. A guy that's appeared in 58 games. He's started 12. His production is minimal. He lacks size, especially in that run game coming down into the box. A safety turned linebacker that just doesn't, I don't think, have enough size to translate into the inside linebacker world. And when you have guys that are a little bit undersized at that linebacker spot, you expect them to overcome that with speed, leverage, things of that nature, and he does none of the above. He is just slightly okay and serviceable, in my opinion, just watching his game tape. I think he is just slightly serviceable, and this is somebody that I wouldn't jump for joy about. His name is Khalil Hudson, 6 foot, 220 pounds. He lacks size, guys. I told you that. And again, it's not anybody that we should be overly thrilled about them getting. He can fight for a roster spot. He can block a punt occasionally. But this is a guy that is going to have to fight for a roster spot. This would be another one of those depth piece moves that we've been talking about at Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin have been liking to gather so far this offseason and free agency. They're really emphasizing that depth. Why? Because of injuries. They want to add as many quality pieces and as many guys that can be serviceable to good inside of that building as quickly as possible to complete this roster for 2024. Stash them away wherever they can stash them away. Practice squad, this, that, whatever. They have to figure out how to keep a quality amount of depth on this roster, and this is one of those types of moves, guys. A guy that you would hope could make up for some of his size deficiencies, but he just doesn't, in my eyes, when you turn on the tape. A guy that isn't going to thrill you. Again, he has the ability to block a punt, but is his special teams contributions going to be enough to make this team? He'll be a guy that you have to look at through OTAs, through mini camps, through training camp to see, is his special teams contribution going to be enough to earn him a roster spot for the 2024 Pittsburgh Steelers if they were able to bring him in. They haven't signed the guy. I'm just saying. They brought him in for a visit. This is a guy, though, that we need to know a little bit about just in case. And that's what I wanted to fill you in on how this move would possibly go for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they were to bring him in. Also, guys, on a Wednesday here, let's talk about Justin Fields being in the building, taking his first Pittsburgh Steelers photos with Steelers gear on. A guy that has had a lot of hype behind him. A guy that had a very, very hard time in Chicago. A guy that has a lot to prove here in 2024. A guy that really needs a breath of fresh air and some consistency. And as we talked about here in the last couple days on the show, he needs to learn how to become that good processor of the defense. A guy that is able to process the game and figure out where the football has to go and realize college open is different than the NFL open. And Justin has to really work on those happy feet and calm down a little bit. And I think that that's where the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to come into play to really, truly benefit a guy like Justin Fields, whom we wish the best. Because if he succeeds, that means the Steelers succeed. And the Steelers have to figure out that contract pre-made too. Are they going to sign him to that 50-year option? That will tell you a lot. Also, Russell Wilson in the building, a guy that is going to be the starter, a guy that's won a Super Bowl and played in another, losing in the last moments of the game. A guy that definitely can win, a guy that can win in the right environment, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are built for that type of environment to where Russell Wilson has been successful in the past, and he wasn't a slouch in Denver, guys. I know that the win total wasn't what you wanted it to be. I know the relationship between Russell and Sean Payton wasn't what you wanted it to be. But statistically, and the way he played was not horrible. The only reason that we ever discounted him here on this channel was because of his age. He is creeping up there. I wanted to get a young guy in there. I was never downplaying Russell Wilson's ability to play football because, guys, he can. And his stats prove that he can do it. And he had more touchdowns last year than all of our quarterbacks combined. You didn't see good quality NFL quarterback play until you saw Mason Rudolph in the final 4 games of the season. And that's what that looks like. And Russell is going to be able to provide that for your Steelers in 2024, regardless of what you think about him. He will definitely provide that steady presence there. A guy that knows how to win, a guy that knows how to be a leader. I know there is a lot of rumors about him, but guys, the Steelers would have not brought him in on this 1-year deal if it weren't for them doing their due diligence about Russell Wilson. And I feel like Russell Wilson really did his due diligence about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reason that he came there was why? Because he fit. Because the scheme is going to tailor to Russell, a guy that has succeeded in the way that the Steelers want to play football. Getting back to a guy like Justin Fields, this is where he's going to have to learn. He's going to have to look at a guy like Russell Wilson and figure out how to be effective, how to become a good processor, a good leader, a great quarterback in the NFL moving forward. That is what this year is about for Justin Fields, and the Steelers will get him on the field at times. I can almost say that with certainty. You don't waste an athlete like Justin Fields and leave him on the field. Get him in there here and there. Create a package. Create something special for Justin Fields to be able to do. And I think that that will play well into the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive plans. For 2024. I really, really do, guys. So we talked about all that. That's what's going on today with the Pittsburgh Steelers as we're inching toward this draft. We'll continue to talk more about that tonight as we get into the live show here on Steel City Live, only on Mic Drop Sports, and that'll be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight with your boy Sean. I want to dive into this Cameron Sutton issue. You've heard reports. You've heard guys talk about it all over the podcast. Let's just give you a brief synopsis of what has happened. The Pittsburgh Steelers used to employ Cameron Sutton. He went, according to DK Pittsburgh Sports, he went to Detroit to be closer to his kids, and he was very torn in between being a Pittsburgh Steeler and being a Detroit Lion. Things didn't work out. There was massive trouble with him and his significant other. Charges were brought against him. He was out on the run, I guess, which it seems like that's what he was doing. And the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office was trying to find him. He did end up turning himself in. The charges were dropped to a misdemeanor charge of domestic violence. And now you see where Cameron Sutton sits now. Now, do we condone that? You know, if you've watched this show, absolutely not. If you beat a woman, you're a piece of crap in my eyes. I don't think you should do that, and vice versa. For a woman, you don't beat on a man. If you are in a relationship and you get that mad at each other, walk away. You don't love each other if you're willing to beat on each other. You don't. And don't stay in that relationship. It is very toxic. Get away from each other because there is something that's going to happen bad. Now, if you're a man and you beat on a woman, I have no respect for you, and I feel like you should deserve whatever happens. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, Cameron Sutton could possibly be available to become a Pittsburgh Steeler. We don't know how that could happen. It's a misdemeanor charge now. Does the league just suspend him for a slight bit of time for 4 or 5 games? I would assume that there's going to be some sort of action taken by the league once the legal system runs through its process. And if Cam Sutton is determined to be guilty, I'm sure the league is really going to hammer down on him. And what about the Pittsburgh Steelers? They will do their due diligence in looking at him again. A guy that maybe his only chance would be to come back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, a place he was drafted to from Tennessee. A guy that grew in the city of Pittsburgh. Maybe this is where he needs to come to get the help that he needs if he's found guilty. If this proves to be true, maybe coming back to Pittsburgh, being around guys that are more like family to him, players that he's been around before, maybe that is the way he needs to get the help that he needs in order to be successful, in order to overcome this. We don't know the details, and I'm not going to even attempt to elaborate on them. But the situation is there. If it's a misdemeanor and the Pittsburgh Steelers determine that it's not as bad or as crazy, maybe they do take a look at him, but maybe they don't. Who knows? I'm just saying that could be in the realm of possibility. Because I keep telling you guys, a stud corner alongside JPJ our JPJ, Joey Porter Jr., would be really, really special for the Steelers defense in 2024. But I would never want it at the expense of a guy that did dirty stuff like that. But if he is proved to be innocent or proved to be maybe the situation was just blown out of proportion, I could forgive somebody, and I hope you can too, if the situation isn't what it was made out to be originally. That's my only thoughts. Again, we don't condone that. And if you beat on a woman, you're a piece of crap, man. Just my opinion. And if you do that, you can unsubscribe to my channel. I don't care. I wouldn't want to be associated with anybody that's a woman beater. So that's just not my thing, man. I think it's kind of crazy. I don't do it. I wouldn't want to be associated with anybody that does do it. So we'll see how this all plays out for Cameron Sutton. We'll see once the real story gets out there. Maybe then things are a little bit different. But until then, guys, that's the Cam Sutton issue. I know that other channels have gotten some backlash for that. And I don't think they should have, because that's not what they were saying. They weren't saying, oh, we condone it. That's not what they were saying, and I think people should really listen to the content. Listen to what is being said, and don't try to spin your own narrative about what somebody's trying to say, because that just gets you in trouble. When you look at a title or you look at the thumbnail of a video, that is not what that doesn't tell you what the video is talking about. You have to listen to the content. I have had so many comments throughout the time being on YouTube that absolutely make no sense, because it's like, buddy, you didn't watch the content. How are you commenting? And I can tell you didn't watch the comment or the content because of the way you commented. So I can tell that. I can tell if you watched and if you even listened to anything I had to say. I get that. And I answer those people too, because I answer everybody pretty much. 99% of the comments get answered. I do miss some here and there, but I answer them here. And I will answer you nonetheless, and I will ask you that. Did you watch the content? And some people come back with smart answers. It is what it is. But watch it. Be fair to your creators, guys, because guys that really put their heart and soul into this to provide you guys quality content, really get behind them and listen to what they're saying before you cast any type of judgment on them. All right, guys, until tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm Jason. This is Mike Drop Sports. Peace.